Welcome back to Threshold of Revelation. This is session 46, entitled Panacea, which is, in fact, the name of the location that they're in. Seems to be a running trend. We'll keep it up. Last session, the group, after defeating a voracious chicken being, left the town of Eggard after talking to a few people. The trip was a bit tedious in that they we're trying to remain vigilant, but at the same time, we're also trying to create a situation where they didn't need much downtime, landing-wise. They wanted to stay aloft as much as they could. And they worked out a system, which arguably is probably the best they could have mustered, to do just that. In the course of their flight, they did see a couple of notable landmarks, which we're not going to go over again here, but they do have the notes on that. Eventually making it to the town of Panacea, where Decelis had stated that they should be able to find allies. As you've passed over this town, you've seen it full map-wise, and you parked on the southern side in the sands, not having a location where you could designatedly park. Now, last session when I had the map up, I didn't have it completed. There were a couple of small things that needed to be pulled up and out. But as you did pass over, you would have noticed a couple of sky ships that are present in this location. So this is not a location that is easy to reach, by land at least. So you would know that sky ships are probably the best method of transportation between this place and anywhere else. And the two most notable ones that I'll kind of point out that are actually on the map, you have one next to this very just ornate kind of blue and yellowish gold building, which is kind of just north of where you're at as you're entering. And far beyond that, up in the north area, as you're passing over, there was a much larger skycraft that looked like it was probably the most vibrantly bright colored skyship you've seen to date, and absolutely definitely not of a style that you've seen so far. It is probably the strangest looking skyship you have seen so far, and you've seen goblin ones, so that's saying something. It's the first one you've seen that has propellers on it. That is a weird thing to be sure. Okay. So you hop off of the skyship. Are you leaving Splug with the skyship to stay with it to watch over it, or is Splug going into town with you guys?
Splug comes with me.
Splug's going in.
He goes where I go.
Do you have a way that you want to conceal the ship, or kind of like create a method to protect the ship?
Is it a walled city?
It is not. There are no walls.
It is not.
Desert for miles and miles.
Are there no designated parking spots for sky ships, since that seems to be the primary?
Again, you don't know what designated parking spots for sky ships outside of what you know to be the case in Penford and also on Flat Flap. Neither of those two options are present. The skyship with the propeller seems to just float lazily in the air, like it doesn't seem to have a problem remaining aloft. And then the skyship that's kind of docked here looks like that's the only place that looks like it's designated as a parking area, and it's kind of occupied.
I'll wait here if somebody wants to go find out if there's a place.
I was gonna say I could leave Splug if you'd rather. Fuck yes.
Is that Sabretooth?
That is Sabretooth.
That's a very old toy.
That is awesome. Okay. So,
Do you want me to leave Splug with you if you're gonna wait at the plane?
Sure, we'll just pat a cake.
Yeah.
as a runner, perhaps?
He's a trickster.
Okay. And the rest of you, sans Uther, will go into the town. Again, with the present goal in mind being find allies or just have a place to kind of...
Yeah, I'm gonna gamble. I'm gonna really trust Decelis on this one and invert the robe again to display conglomerate colors.
So obviously, I'm not a fan of putting a bunch of tokens on the board to bog down your processing ability and like show where people are located, etc. So again, theater of the minding it. The streets are actually quite busy. Like there's not a shortfall of people kind of present about moving around and doing things. But most of this seems to be in and around this area to the west of you. And as you look at it, it does look like there is a very strange, ornate structure that appears to be almost like a feathered, twisted kind of grouping of wings that are kind of compacted into like a mound. At the top of the mound, there appears to be a hole, and as you're kind of approaching up, you see a massive jet of water shoot up from the top of it and kind of spray about. And it looks like there are people around the base of this structure with bowls in their hands kind of raised on high, collecting the water as it descends down. The people in question look like they are very specifically dressed. They are wearing kind of sky blue robes with white hoods, and they look like almost priestly in their demeanor. And there's a certain reverence for the activity that they are currently participating in. Along the street that you're first entering into, there are a couple of people who look like they're just, passing by, but there are mainly a group of people kind of parked out right around here who look very familiar to your group. They look like a group of mages kind of standing around talking, very judiciously, very kind of like sagely discussing whatever the matters of the day happen to be. And the building they're standing outside of, it has a golden top, like literally actual gold top, like, kind of rounded. The best kind of metric I can give is like Moscow's kind of like, most notorious building. Is that the Kremlin? Is my brain dumb? With the big old
bulbs?
Just go with Tetris.
The cover of
Tetris town. I'm pretty sure it's Moscow.
A lot of these have kind of rounded tops with very vibrant colors to them. And this one is of no difference. And inside it looks like there is kind of an open air courtroom. Instead of there being walls underneath this large dome, there are just pillars, and the interior space looks like it's just kind of an open area with seating. And they're outside kind of talking, kind of close to this set of stairs. And it looks like they're, probably preparing for some sort of discourse that's going to happen in that place. But as you're kind of passing in, if you'd like to move away from them and do other things, you certainly can. Looks like the main stretch of the town, or like the main town center, is kind of off to the right. Just like a little, main circle.
Before we part ways, I would have wanted to ask Uther if there's any supplies he needs right away, or should we focus more on just finding a parking place for the aircraft? Which Andy still needs a name.
I thought you were looking for parking so I could come with you.
Yeah. That's priority then. Making sure there was any other needs right away.
He's just driving around the lot. No, he's not driving. Don't let him take off. Because he will not be able to put it down.
Me and Splug,
He's got Splug with him.
Splug will not be able to put it down.
No, but Splug
I can throw Splug to the ground and he can just catch it.
Splug can Fred Flintstone the damn thing.
Oh my god. He just gets onto the underside, he's like holding it. Okay, ready, boss!
Deploy landing
Lower
gear.
it, he just
Like
puts his feet
throw
down, he just
Splug.
starts running.
Start jogging.
And then pushes his heels into the ground and brakes. Okay, I love it. That's not canon.
He's a good boy.
But I do love the idea of it. That said, Bodhi, Nyx, Sanat, Ezekiel, Silas, you enter into the town as mentioned. Looks like there's priestly shit going off on the left, kind of sagely shit happening at the big gold place in the center there. And then it looks like there might have been a town square central kind of hub up towards the right there.
I'm guessing the gold building seems the most important nearby. Maybe there's some kind of office that I could
Okay.
converse with, so I'll head in that direction. If we want to keep as a group, if we want to split up, say we meet back at the Blade in a couple hours, it's up to you guys.
I'll
But I'm
tag
going
along.
there.
Okay. Is anybody going with Bodhi directly?
Yeah.
Okay. So not. Anyone else?
I would probably go to the circle over here. It looks like a trading circle.
Okay. Good call. For Ezekiel,
Yeah, I'll go with Silence.
Silas and Ezekiel going towards that, and then Nyx.
Same.
Okay. So then, Sanat and Bodhi, you walk up upon this group of individuals. There's about 5 of them kind of standing around. Some of them have their arms crossed. Others are kind of gesticulating as they're kind of going over some discourse. And as you get close in with earshot, you realize that the language that they're speaking is not a language that you're familiar with. They're speaking Ikashati. You recognize that it is Ikashati, you just don't know the language. But as you kind of get closer, they seem to kind of take interest in you. And noting that you have conglomerate bearings, one of them kind of eyes widened, kind of steps away from the group, seeming to kind of gesture, the one that was gesturing the most, kind of gestures again to say, I'm going to go talk to these people. And then,
Is this a largely human settlement?
the 5 people that you've seen here, they are all humans, yes.
Okay.
And then most of the people that you've seen passing have been human, although both of you make perception.
I'm sure it's a melting pot. It's usually
I'm like,
a melting
so
pot.
the slime guy and the Eladrin walking up to a bunch of humans. That's great.
Well, make a perception check, the both of you.
17.
Very good.
Not bad.
Sorry, it's pulling up.
No worries, no worries. Okay. So,
Not bad.
Bodhi, the guy who's approaching you, definitely has very angular features and very kind of just like a chiseled face. Like, it looks like he is very,
Oh no, he's handsome.
he is very handsome. But he has kind of like, despite living in a desert town, has a very pale complexion. Like almost alabaster, like almost like a marble-like tone. And Sanat, being more keenly observant, realized that his hair isn't hair, it appears to be made of stone, as do like small little like blemishes on his hands. As he's kind of approaching you, you realize he is not a human, he is a genasi, which is plain touched like by the elements. And he's presumably a earth genasi. He steps forward and says, "Hello, you are strangers here, but not unwelcome ones. Is it true that you are members of the conglomerate?" Points to your jacket or your coat.
Why, yes, sir. It was sent here by one Dekellis.
You were not sent by Reuben.
No, sir. We've never met.
Good. Well, we have been informed that we were to receive a conglomerate representative, and to be sure, we are not very interested in speaking to the war minister once again. His designs on our town are definitely outside of our interests.
I believe he's indisposed. You don't have anything to worry about with him
Well, we
at the
definitely
moment.
wish to return communications with the conglomerate. It has been some time since we've been able to form a dialogue due to the unfortunate nature of our region's most recent guests.
You're speaking of the Denisotfans, I suppose?
Of course. And also the problems regarding the roads between here and Penford, our closest.
I haven't seen many.
Or lack thereof.
You mean roads?
Roads, yeah.
Sorry, apologies.
It's very lacking on your side of the journey.
In sooth, it is not, but that is something we will reveal in time, I hope. Or perhaps you hope. So,
I enjoy a good surprise.
Dekellis is a name that is not known to me. He is not in any way affiliated with the war efforts of the conflict.
To my knowledge, no. He has nothing to do with the actual
Good.
war
We
council.
have no desires to join such a situation. I was just preparing for a session.
And John, I didn't lie. I don't know that he is. I don't believe he is.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Out of character, I'm confirming I didn't know, or if I'm lying to him, I'm doing so
Yeah.
without meaning to.
Remember, your mission statements have been kind of situational, kind of not exactly assassination, not exactly subterfuge, not exactly espionage. It's more or less just kind of a, we need Penford to be unlocked. Please
Or
unlock
just
Penford.
mix or fix it.
Yeah, and so that's been your main objective, and then the other objective that you had was see if the Denisovans have control. So yeah, it is kind of war related.
But he's not
He's not
part of that war council
Yeah.
or anything that he's concerned about.
Remember,
That's
he
what I
has
wanted to be
specifically
sure.
instructed you not to get into fights if you can avoid it. You literally sought out the.
And we have failed him
You
miserably.
literally sought out the golden axe by just happen chance and fought him in a fucking house.
He burned down that doghouse. It pissed us off.
So good. Anywho, he would say, I have express business. If you wish to attend and witness what we are going to be engaging in today, you're more than welcome to attend us at the Court of Healing, gesturing towards the gold building behind him. But if you have designs on refreshment, I would suggest maybe heading into the town and seeing if you can't find maybe a good seat or place to rest at the likable princess, or perhaps mug pounders.
It's a fine name. Certainly, we'd love to join. When do these ceremonies you spoke of? When do they begin?
Oh, about 15 or so minutes.
Okay, that might be a little tight on time. We have a craft parked to the south of the city border. I was curious if there was a better place for us to store it
I
that
unfortunately
you might know of.
I unfortunately cannot attend you due to my current pressing matter, and again, the pressure of time. I would normally suggest you to the court bailiff, but he is also currently indisposed. When he says the court bailiff and gestures, he seems to be gesturing at the small little house over here, like next to the Court of Healing.
Yeah. Court of Healing is the Gold Tower?
Correct.
Gold Dome? Okay.
But since that is not currently an available option, the only thing I could suggest is perhaps the priest at the temple, gesturing across from him towards this larger building here. Or
Perhaps it could wait until after the ceremony. I'd hate to decline on behalf of
more than happy to help
our
you.
mistake.
I would be more than happy to help you regarding the
We'll seek you out after the ceremony is complete. If you
Of course.
would.
Well, please, you are welcome to attend.
And forgive me, did I catch your name, sir?
You didn't. You never did. Not even one time. He says, my name is Deception. His name is Deception.
My name is Bodhi.
He nods his head.
This here is Sanat.
He nods his head.
Our pleasure.
You're like, Deception?
That's a cool
You would
name.
know that naming conventions for a lot of plain touched, like Tieflings, Aasimar, Genasi, they typically don't name themselves, or they typically don't gain a name due to the matter of their birth, or just the nature of like their coming into existence. Some are created whole cloth, others are born of like, not Genasi or not Tiefling, and might be kind of regarded as like an ill omen. So a lot of them come to a name of their own, and for whatever reason, he has chosen the name Deception.
Well, I trust him. Sanat, let's partake in these refreshments he offered, and I guess we'll just be following along to whatever ceremony he's plotted for us. If that's
Sounds good.
acceptable.
Okay, so if you two are waiting there, we'll go ahead and move to the other group. As you kind of move into the town square, you pass by two buildings. You pass by four buildings. Let's discuss those as you pass them. The buildings here look like they're homes, just simple houses, but nice enough. The building behind them is large, very vast height-wise, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 100 feet tall. It has a kind of Parthenon-esque architecture. So if you are looking at it from the outside, it's just a grouping of pillars that kind of lead into kind of a cloistered area inside. And just on just recognition alone, Ezekiel and Nyx, especially Nyx though, would recognize this as a church, and specifically a church of the Triumvirate, not a power or saint or anything to that effect. So the Triumvirate appears to be what's worshipped or on offer at this location. The thing that's strange to you, though, is you see that in the kind of high archway over top the entrance steps is the depiction of a bird on fire. It seems to be kind of holding its wings outstretched. Its head's kind of pointed down slightly, and its claws appear to be holding what appears to be an egg. The other two buildings you pass by as you make it to this square. The one on the left appears to be a bar, and in 3 different scripts it has a name for the place, Mug Pounders. It's written in Common, Dwarvish, and Ikashadi. On the right side, in just Common and Ikashadi, you would see the name, the Likeable Princess, which is this location here. Or that's not pinging, but this location here. And then this is the Mug Pounder. And this was the temple. And this was the clergy houses.
Okay, well, let's stop
I
in
would go
for
to
a
the
drink.
Mug Pounder to get a drink.
You head over to the Mug Pounder, okay.
Oh, is that the circle you guys were going to? I thought you were going to the southwest.
No, the trading
My bad.
circle.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you enter into this tavern. Silas, you're kind of a larger individual, and the same is true for Ezekiel. So as you kind of enter in, you'll very much feel like this sense of claustrophobia, as like the space is not quite built for, tails, first of all, and second of all, like these hulking behemoths of individuals. You would see that there are 2 people besides the person behind the bar in this establishment. The 2 people that are in the bar appear to be very much dressed like the guys you just passed along the way that Bodhi and Sanat went to go speak to. However, they have kind of like these somber looks on their faces, just very much tired and out of it, and they seem to be kind of drinking from stout mugs. And then the barkeep is a white-haired individual and just kind of like a very kind of just brightly colored tabard and attire. It looks like he has a dwarvish clan symbol on his chest, and it looks like a mug that has been fastened to the shaft of a hammer.
Is it still fastened there?
Huh?
The mug, is it still
Oh, no,
fastened?
no, the
with a hammer?
symbol. The symbol looks like it's a mug.
Oh,
Like
okay.
instead of having a hammer head, it has a mug head. That's
No,
the
it's
clan
carried.
symbol. Huh?
He just carried a big crucible.
He did carry a big crucible. It was called the Stein of Obadiah.
Okay, that's why I'm confused then.
Yeah. He was not a mug pounder, though. He was he was clanless. He called himself Rolling Rock. He did not have a clan name.
He wasn't officially a mug pounder, but he did pound some bugs.
He did pound a mug, yeah.
Found his mug.
Damn, okay.
I would
Sexual.
ask.
He
for-
meant punch him in the face.
Get a nice head going.
Nothing
on.
sexual.
Yeah.
Nice and frothy. Okay, so anyway,
Continue.
what were you saying, Jody?
I would ask for drink and food.
Okay, well, we've got drink. What would you like to eat? It doesn't matter what you want to eat.
Impress me.
It doesn't matter what you want to eat. All we have is the same thing over and over again. And he puts down the mug, and then he sets out a plate of hummus with like kind of soft bread instead of like the normal pita that you would use with like just kind of like a very soft, just kind of scoopable bread or scoop-worthy bread.
What do you mean by the same thing?
This is all we got. It's all we sell here. We don't do food. If you want fancy food, you can go across the street to the Likeable Princess, More like unlikable, though. Or if you want something a bit more sturdy, you'll have to get access through the gate. But food's not my repertoire. It's mostly just that, because it's suitable bar food.
When
He points at the mug. That's our specialty. That's why folks show up.
I'll try the drink and try the food and think if there's anything I can do to make it better.
Drink is insanely good. Like, as you kind of sip the ale, you're kind of realizing that the summery notes of, like, you know, just a much lighter beer beverage are kind of swimming amidst these kind of just sharp notes of a stout. So it's like this soft transition of kind of like almost honey-like flavor to like a kind of just poppy kind of taste. Hoppy kind of taste is the word I wanted to say, not poppy. The hummus is pretty good. It's well spiced. It's well seasoned. The bread is fine. Like, it's not. I mean, you could definitely do better bread. It feels like the bread's kind of a bit older. Like, it's gotten a little bit stale. And when you kind of bite into it, there's like a nice hard kind of crust to it due to it kind of being out for a while. But there's still that really delicious kind of like doughy center. But at the same time, you're pretty sure you could do a better bread. The hummus is not something that you've ever really dealt with before. This is the first time you've ever had it, I'm assuming, based on just how Penford operates. And it's good. It's definitely a new taste. You're thinking about it as a dip. You're kind of like thinking about it instead, like, could I put this on things? Like, could I like use this as like a replacement for other kind of sauces, or like, but it's also too thick at the same time, but you're still like, that's where your brain keeps going to.
Do you have places to stay here?
Not here, no. There really aren't many visitors to Panacea that aren't brought in by someone else, so apologies. If you're looking for a traditional inn, it's not really something that, at least that I'm aware of, exists. But if you don't have any friends here, I know that the Fount of Myths would probably have some place for people who are caught out here in Panacea with no place to stay where they could rest for the evening at least.
That doesn't seem very comfortable to me. If I could do something as a trade, would you have somewhere more comfortable?
I unfortunately don't have any room in my abode. He kind of gestures out the window, and you'd see the very small building right next door. I don't really have much room for guests, and I'd rather you not sleep with. He kind of gestures to the back wall with all the liquor, with my prized treasures.
Yeah, those could disappear quickly.
You're right.
We have some business to attend to. I'm gonna hang out here while my friends do it, so keep the river running.
He grins, and the next mug was already being poured while you were talking. Ezekiel, do you have anything that you want to engage with Mr. Mug Pounder here, or do you want to?
I'd like to go check out that temple.
Okay, you kind of pop out. Nix, do you want to remain here inside of the small little establishment? Like,
I'll go with Ezekiel.
Okay, as far as like places to play, it doesn't look like there is much space. But what you, as a kind of observant, like minstrel, would notice is that there does appear to be a short stool at the far end of the bar with like noticeable footprints on it, and there's like a area of the bar that looks like it's kind of heavily beaten, like someone was like smashing a hammer on it or like dancing on it.
Got it.
You go outside with Ezekiel, and he starts heading towards the temple. You enter into the space. It doesn't look like there's very many people inside, just kind of a very strange shift of environment. So outside, it's balmy. You're in a desert. But at the same time, there's like a low level of humidity that seems to be persistent due to the fount and also the water present here, very much evaporating in the heat. When you enter into this space, it's kind of like stepping into like a rainforest, but like it cools you out like immediately. So it feels like you're kind of entering into a very damp area, but it very much kind of catches in your hair and like kind of, you know, brusques against your nose. You can feel it on your tongue, and you're just kind of like, it's like relieving, like where you were like panting a bit outside, hopping into here, it's like. And then for Nyx, like regulatory control in a dromite, not so much of an issue. So there's not like a huge change, but you've realized it's damp. Looking around, there are 4 statues in the exterior, and then there is one kind of centerpiece in the middle. The centerpiece in the middle appears to be a woman, a man, and a dog. The man appears to be carrying a large jar. The woman appears to be kind of holding onto his leg, like in a almost like, you know, movie poster-esque kind of stance. And the dog is just kind of present there at the man's side. And the man appears to be walking, you know, with the woman, kind of holding onto his leg, and the dog kind of following beside. The other 4 statues, you would see that there is a human with a spear, a human with a shield and kind of pointing, like almost as if he were like a leader or a commander, an elf who looks like he's wearing robes similar to the ones you saw on the guys outside, and then a human with very long hair, and his hands kind of like gestured out in a peaceful posture, but also wearing the same robes as the elf. Those 2 are on the far side, the nobly kind of looking individuals. The warriors are at the door.
Okay. Is there anyone around?
You kind of start engaging the area, looking around, it being very quiet and still, but after a fashion, there is a kind of back area and like a back kind of balcony, and a single individual comes out from there, walking into the main space. She is elvish, brown hair. She's wearing just kind of almost like a toga. And she kind of steps into the space, showing her hands and the ornate-looking gold jewelry on her wrists. She says, "Welcome to the temple of Emil Hazil." Alim Hazil. Pronunciation is going to be a bad thing all day today. I just want to apologize ahead of time. Alim Hazil. Can I help you? You are definitely not locals, I presume?
No, man. We're just exploring the town, and was it outside? Was it a statue or a picture of Hazil holding the egg?
Hazil was in the kind of over portrayal, like it was a ornate feature above the door, above the portal to the door.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Ezekiel would be like, yeah, that picture over the door is kind of caught my attention, so I figured I would pop in and see what's happening.
So as I said, this is the temple of Alim Hazil. We are advocates for the warring triumvirate, but we primarily focus on the worship of life and death here. Aluane is our mistress. In that, we worship an entity that is of mythological nature to the town of Panacea, a great firebird known as Alim Hazil, who passed through this region and brought life to it.
And the statues in here, and Ezekiel point to them.
So these are of other heroes as well. So she kind of moves towards the centerpiece. The original ruling family of Panacea were individuals who were forced out of their homes in Ikashad by the court of mages. They traveled far and long, and with the object of importance in this, the font of myths, were able to survive throughout the harsh environs surrounding this place. His wife and his most loyal companion gestures to the 2 soldiers. During the conflict of the formation of this town, with those of the Westerlands. Our two great heroes defended this land, protected it from those interlopers, and then gestures to the ones across the way. And the conglomerate and elvish school councils who aided us in establishing our own presence here, free of the direct influence of the colleges of Ikashad.
And I can't help but notice the difference in the way it feels in here than it did out there. Is that like something just with the temple, or do other buildings in this region have that?
Most of the architecture in this place is formed to allow for respite from the sun and protection from it. And as soon as you are able to get out of the sunlight or the reflection of it from the sands, it is actually quite temperate in this region, mainly due to the influence of the font and also the lake nearby.
And last question before I leave you to do your business. The and Ezekiel tried his best to describe that. You know, like I assume that's the font, but I'm not 100%.
It is. A different priestly order maintains the font. They are the ones who ensure that it is kept and not disturbed by others, and that the offerings of the font are not wasted.
Well, I thank you for all the information and for taking up your time. And then Ezekiel will leave.
Of course. She would also, like, just as kind of a matter of me putting it here, she would outline the services that the temple would be able to proffer to others. So she is capable of casting a number of cleric spells for cost. The one that would be of most note to you is the spell Raise Dead. She is capable of casting Raise Dead. Nick, do you have any questions for her?
I do not.
Okay. The two of you exit the temple. We'll go ahead and shift back to the courtly proceedings then. Sanat and Bodhi, after a fashion, they leave. Soon after that, a man comes out of that building that he pointed to, kind of starts moving towards you, kind of instructing everyone to enter into the court, as court will be in session soon. If you sit in the kind of audience area, the court proceedings kind of happen in a very foreign fashion to what you are normally expected to see in kind of a court setup. Typically, court is held in kind of like a square shape with like a center point where there's kind of white sands placed in the center of the ground. And if someone is basically speaking before the court and doing so, like where it is necessary that that person speaks truth, they'll step into the sands and they'll be kind of forced to speak the truth because of a zone of truth like permanently cast on those sands. That's what courts are normally like in Penford. But here, instead, the nature of the room is circular. Obviously, it's more like an arena or an amphitheater almost. And most of the folks who are kind of addressing the court are kind of standing outside of the space, kind of addressing inwards to the circle. And it seems that there is no magical necessity for like a person to kind of be like enchanted or behooven to kind of speak in a manner that way. So there's a lot of back and forth between these interested parties.
Are these people speaking in a language we understand?
Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. There's actually a strange occurrence happening here, Sanat, that you would kind of take hold of and note. It appears that court is being held in like 3 stages. And some people seem to be talking over each other, but what you very quickly realize is they're not talking to each other. everyone's addressing someone else. Everyone seems to be focusing on someone in the audience or someone in the court and talking to them and kind of focusing their attention towards them. And this is a part where you actually see a bit of spellcraft happening, which makes you kind of go, oh, interesting. You would see that, like, as someone is in kind of the Elvish tongue explaining how they are searching for this rogue, this vandal who came into the town and caused problems for a number of the fine establishments across the bridge beyond the gate. As this person's kind of explaining this, he casts a spell which causes him to change into a different person, which elicits some gasps, but other people kind of nodding sagely, and other people kind of, understanding the meaning of this. He is showing them what the culprit looks like. And then another part, in a language you're not able to understand, you very suddenly hear a loud booming voice, and you recognize the priestly spell thaumaturgy being cast to kind of like elicit this response, this larger tenor of his voice. So it seems like they're using spellcraft and basically addressing a courtly session, not like Penford, which is kind of like very focused, matter of fact, to the point. It seems like there's a bit of theater in this kind of courtly procession that is outside of what you would consider normal. But most of the things that kind of are addressed here, with the exception of two things that you can actually understand, are of any note to you. And I mean to say, the first thing that's mentioned in common, the common tongue, is an address for the Guild of Reclaimers, Archivists, Historians, and Dredgers. And it is decidedly the case that funding will be stopped. That they will no longer pay for the excavation of a place known as the Tome of the God King. They will no longer pay for it. It is no longer worth their interest. They can no longer afford it. There's no people kind of record. There's no recourse. Nobody comes back and says this is why it should be done. It seems like there's no representative here, from what you can tell, at least, of this guild that's being talked about. The other matter that seems to be of interest is the one that I mentioned kind of there in slight explanation. There appears to have been a vandal who entered into the town and was causing issue for a number of the vendors. You hear a couple names that you've already heard brought forward, so like the Likeable Princess, Mug Pounders, a number of other establishments which we'll get out here in a bit. But when the person kind of shifts their features to this other person, you would note that the person in question is not someone you recognize, but someone you would know if you saw them again. He is about 6 foot tall. He has long arms like a Denisotvan, stark blonde hair, and kind of a very tan, olivish skin, and a very stern, kind of commanding looking face. And according to what you overhear in Elvish about this individual, his name is right here on my list of names. Right here on my list of names. Right, Kel Verond. And I'll post that in the chat so you have it. Cool. But those are the only 2 points of interest that are seemingly of any interest to you. Most of it seems to be kind of boring, trade discussion and nothing too great. It comes to a point where the man who you spoke to outside, Deception, takes a moment and kind of looks over to Sanat, kind of gestures towards you, and kind of an almost like asking kind of face, but he doesn't say anything to you, as others are kind of talking around him, but he kind of looks to you, almost like he's trying to kind of, get a response from you, he's asking you if it's okay to go forward with something, with his features, but he doesn't really say anything aloud to you. How would you respond to this strange and kind of like out of nowhere gesture?
I guess I would nod.
He would then start saying in common, "It is a new addition to the itinerary that we bring forward, that members of the conglomerate," gesturing to you and to Bodhi, "have entered into Panacea. They wish for us to give them somewhere to rest, and somewhere to place their skyship as they remain here. I bring it before the court, that I will take them in. If any others who are of a higher station than me wish to assert my gesture of hospitality, I put it before the court for them to do so at this time." A guy who hasn't said a single word throughout the whole time, but has been up there this entire time, moves forward and says, "I would love to have Grand Mages from the conglomerate attend me in my abode. Deception, do you feel that I would be of a higher station than you in this matter?" Deception kind of looks to him and says, "Well, I will ask that of the conglomerate, as it is their determination whether or not they wish to be my guests or the guests of Fabulous Shen." The man nods his head, and they both kind of turn to look at Sanat again.
Very, very quickly, is the guy's genuine title Fabulous Shen?
His title is Fabulous, and his first name is
Ooh, this is gonna be tough.
Shen. Bodhi's like,
Shit.
I'm voting for Shen.
But Deception's been nothing but honest and cool with you.
Yeah, Deception's cool, and he's also handsome.
So Shen, to describe what he looks like, he is a dude. He is wearing some of the brightest colors you've seen in this place, and as you can see, there are bright colors, but he is like, I'm talking like pinks and mauves, bright yellows, like sunfire yellows.
Full on peacocking.
He is
This
wearing
guy's starting to win me over.
he is wearing a cape that you say peacocking. He is wearing a cape that appears to have like a mantle of peacock feathers, like ornating the shoulder area. His cap looks like it is a tricorn, but it looks like it's been kind of peeled open and filled with just all sorts of like jewelry, like hanging from the hat, and like other things kind of like popping out, like feathers and other just random nonsenses just kind of erupting out of this fucking hat. Like he looks like someone took a vase of like roses and then shoved feathers and shit in it and then put it on his head.
Out of
What do you think,
respect for Deception's early kindness in approaching us, I feel it would be an insult to decline his offer of hospitality. But, Sir Shen, we will happily treat with you when we have the time.
Okay, so there's a bit of confusion from the two as they kind of were focused on Sanat at the time and then kind of shift their attention to what they thought was like a familiar or an assistant. And
Oh,
they
that's
kind
fair.
of
That's reasonable.
then look back at Sanat,
I got goals.
kind of like almost like the same beginning, like when they were like interested in you, like putting forward a response. Like they seem to be kind of waiting for you to
You could give an alternate answer.
acknowledge the goo man's.
We travel here as part of a group.
I don't speak for you.
And I would, I'd hate to speak for my entire group, but like what my colleague here said, maybe better to, we can definitely treat with you at some point during this.
Fabulous Shen kind of gestures his hands up in this kind of fancy way, displaying all these like ornate rings on his fingers, and he says, "Well then, Deception, perhaps we should allow for them to meet us both in kind. You probably do not want to have a situation where you are not ready to attend these guests to earn their honors in gracing your abode with their stay. So I will have them for lunch, and then you can have them for dinner. And
Nothing questionable about how you're phrasing these things. Please continue.
and then they can decide who they wish to remain with at the end of the day." Deception nods his head. "This is a fabulous idea you've come up with, Shen. They both nod, and Shen would kind of step forward after everyone starts to break. Step forward and look to Sanat, and then look to Bodhi. And looking to both of you, he says, I will attend you for lunch if you can gather your accompaniment. We can hopefully meet near my establishment. I will grant you a matter of passing, as you will need... Well, no, sorry, he's not on the other side. Okay, he will not have to grant you a matter of passing. That part is not correct. The other guy has to.
We'll happily join you for a meal. In the interim, is there a safe place we can park our vessel?
Yes, of course. So there is a campsite just behind my abode. You can certainly park it there. I will show you where it's located, and then you can retrieve your vessel and arrive there.
Certainly.
He would take you outside, but before he does, Deception would say, here, and hand you a what appears to be just like a gold trinket. It's almost like a wand, but at the end of it, it has a symbol of Alawain. He says, this will allow you to pass through the gates of healing, or over the bridges of Panacea. Most folk are not allowed on the northern side of the town, so you will require this to pass over the waters.
This is a prestigious gift, thank you.
And then Shen will kind of lead you out. As he's walking with you, you'll notice that he kind of has a bit of an entourage following with him, like three or four.
Is it Shen or?
Yeah, Shen, sorry.
Okay.
So like 3 or 4 people. 2 of them kind of remain right behind him and seem to be kind of holding his cape off of the ground. It does appear that he has like a very like crushed velvet, like massive kind of cape that they're kind of holding at the corners as he kind of walks out. The other 2, one of them seems to be carrying a water pot, which you don't understand the significance of, but he's just holding a water pot, kind of walking with Shen. And the other one is holding a symbol just like yours, but he seems to be kind of holding it up high, like intentionally.
This is the wand thing for passage?
The same, it's like almost the same thing that you're holding. But Shen would kind of walk, and there'd be enough space for you to kind of either stand both at one side of him or one on either side, however you'd want to engage with him. But he would be kind of walking and saying, I'm presuming you're from Penford, but the conglomerate has means of traveling all across the world, does it not?
More by the day, it seems.
Very interesting. It's very sad that the magic circle here was broke. It's a very unfortunate matter, to be sure. But the priests have their own decisions on what is right and what is wrong.
It was decided that it should be dismantled then.
It was not decided. It was just done by the priests. The court, in their infinite wisdom, was unable to come to terms with what should be done in regards to punishing them. But, well, the conglomerate has not been able to connect with us ever since that happened about a year or so ago. And due to the efforts in the west and north of here, there has been no desire for the conglomerate to come here, with the exception of the war minister's machinations. He was very quickly dismissed out of our court. We have no desire to join in such a fruitless endeavor.
I see.
But I assume you are here to reestablish connections as they once were.
Reestablish connections, certainly. As they once were, I cannot promise at this time.
Puts his hands up, and you can just hear like the clatter of rings as he kind of just puts them together. This is great. This is perfect news. I genuinely cannot wait. The riches and bounties of this place, many will say, are due to our ancestors and due to the great glories of our peoples, but they are foolish. The truth of the matter is, we have always been very loyal to the serpents, and for that, we have been able to flourish here. This connection being severed from the serpents has caused us issue, and I very much wish for the day I am able to travel from here and back into the comforts of such cities as Old Highstrick, Bedford, and the like.
When he speaks of the serpents, he's talking of the conglomerate, right?
Yeah, the symbols are the two serpents. Colloquially, it's
That would have me confused for a second, but no, I get it.
But they've been out of touch for only about a year,
about a year, yeah.
roughly. Okay, so he's not. You were making me uncomfortable, like he's old conglomerate allied, and
No.
they've just been out of touch. That
I
the
was like,
conglomerate's now
you mean,
better.
like, old conglomerate, like my group that I killed before coming to join this group.
Deception had no idea who DeKellis was. DeKellis is kind of a known name, though, in conglomerate structures, especially in and around Penford. So, Deception not knowing that name is a bit concerning, but
Nobody knows everybody.
they obviously have met with and talked to a guy you've never met before. So
Yeah,
that's actually concerning if you think about it.
I'm just pointing out. Like I've never met that guy. I've
Who the
never
fuck
met
is
that
that
guy.
War
Never even
minister.
heard of that guy.
Probably just some asshole.
Yeah.
He would point out this area here. Let me see if I can get it on the right layer this time, though. He'd point out this area here. Looks like a small camp, but it's not being utilized. You can park there.
Over here at the east corner.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Yeah, if he shows us that, I'll hustle out to Uther and help him bring the plane around.
Okay. And Sanat, in the meantime, are you
Uther, you gotta see this guy. He's rich as hell.
are you remaining with Fabulous Shen, or are you going elsewhere?
I'll remain with him. It seems like he wanted us there for a reason, so I guess I can spend some time figure out what's going on.
So as you kind of head back down the steps, as you headed up the steps, kind of on the side here, up to that space, he would have actually told you that this place here is his shop. Then when you come back down, and Bodhi kind of, after a very kind of short, brief kind of goodbye from Shen, which seems to be a bit formal. It's not just like a see ya, it's more like, formal
There's
than
some
that.
there's some pomp and circumstance to it.
Yeah, he seemed to kind of, put his...
He seems the type.
Yeah. He kind of turns to Sanat and gestures to the very lavish-looking kind of rugs and cushions that are kind of out in front of the establishment. And you can see two attendants coming outside, one with a water bottle, or a water jug, just like the one he's got, and another one with what appears to be a very strange-looking jar with like a metal attached top and like hoses kind of springing out from the sides of it. If you're familiar, your character would be familiar with a hookah, they would know that this is a hookah. And they kind of come out into the court and they both kind of set up and start setting this up. And he gestures to the cushions. Please. And as you're getting set up and situated, you would see that at this point, Ezekiel and Nyx are kind of entering into the courtyard. And so you would see the entourage and kind of see them kind of moving in that way. And Silas, as you're kind of sitting in the bar and kind of looking, and you're kind of, just sitting there and kind of quiet drinking, you would also see that there's a bit of a kerfuffle happening outside, and it seems to be this guy existing, and also Nyx and Ezekiel moving over in that direction.
How long has that been? since
Maybe
I said-
20 or 30 minutes, or no, actually longer than that. Probably about an hour and a half.
How strong's the alcohol?
It's pretty strong. Go ahead and make a con save. Let me see if you're able to kind of hold, because you probably had about 4.
13.
How much can you afford to drink?
I would say you're fine, but the best way I can kind of describe it is you're not buzzed. You're not like, the mirror seems to be reflecting a different person than me, kind of buzzed. You're like down from that kind of like, everything's really warm, and it's like, but you're not like,
Yeah.
like if you put another 2 in you, you'd probably be buzzed.
I would ask the mug pounder who's that.
Oh, Shen. That's Shen.
What's he about?
Well, he's one of the courtiers of the town. He is a merchant. kind of runs a lot of the things in this town and is able to get a lot of people the things they need. He has different matters and means of it, but I know he's currently having a big problem situation regarding his holdings. Something he said was called the Bagman.
I'll drop down some coin and go out and see what's going on.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be about 2 gold tops. So if you want to put more than that, you can.
I'll do 3. Just
Yeah, he's very gracious. And you head outside, but before you get there, Nyx or Ezekiel, you kind of see them moving to sit with this kind of entourage and group. You would see that he appears to have a person walking around with him, and to you, Ezekiel and Nyx, having seen the statue inside and being told of the significance, it almost seems like this person following Shen with the jar of water isn't like purposeful, or it doesn't seem to have like a real world need. It just seems to be
No
like
utility.
it seems to be like a ritualistic kind of thing to do as an honorific.
He in the desert having somebody just walk around with a thing of water. I mean, like he
It's
bougie.
helpful.
It's okay.
I mean, it definitely can have utility for sure. And so yeah, when they sit down, Sanat, the things that you'd note is like you're seated on like a really lavish cushion, and like next to you is that large jar that the guy who came from outside sets down next to you, and there's also like a nice clayworks cup kind of seated next to that. So if you wanted to, you could just take the cup and dip it into the jar. It's big enough that you can kind of reach in and do so. You could have, some cool water if you want. And then the hookah is obviously present, which Shen very much quickly, once it's lit and everything's to work, starts kind of taking some drags from. But Nyx and Ezekiel approach. It's not you'd see them. They're very hard to.
And I would introduce the members of my party approaching.
Shen actually gets up, like from his lavish cushion, and seemingly quicker than you would expect a person in a very relaxed state to do so. Like he's done this a lot, and as he kind of gets up, he's already removed the cape; it's been taken from him. But he kind of, sees the two and says, welcome, conglomerate, friends. Please have a seat. We will get some water out for you. I know that you've probably traveled for a while, and we haven't yet gotten to the bits of formality, but I do have lunch being prepared if you are hungry. So that will be along soon. And as that's being done, you all would see a large lizard folk kind of walking across the promenade there, heading over in your direction.
Silas is like, you said something about lunch?
I heard about food.
lunch and sleep because the
Let's see if you-
hummus wasn't good.
Let's see if these people are any good at cooking. They're shit.
It's just fucking chickpeas. I don't understand.
And then, like, taking a context out of the thing. Do you have a child? I want to kill him. Why you kill my kid? I don't know, because the player wants to kill kids right now, I guess.
He's all mad at something.
Anyways.
I was trying to push for it. I'm like, let's get drunk first. Let's see what happens. And I made that stupid roll.
So, Silas, you would approach. Similar circumstance. He does actually get up and give you the whole mabob, and then, like, you're given seats. Yeah. You were going to say something, Joseph?
No.
Oh, sorry. Anybody have anything they want to do as they're being seated here with this guy who's kind of, right now, just kind of wordlessly kind of smoking from his hookah and drinking water and just kind of hanging out?
I'm bringing Splug and Uther around after we park the plane. I don't know if we made it in time.
Well, I'm just making sure everybody has, like, the people who are not you guys
Gotcha.
have an opportunity to kind of throw down on some conversation.
I'm making sure Splug has a good comfy cushion, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, Sanat, Nyx, Silas, and Ezekiel. If you folks have anything you want to discuss with him as he's in this relaxed state.
Nope. Sorry.
I am also relaxed.
It's okay, Andy, no worries. Don't have to use the talking machine very much. It's okay, I appreciate you.
So Shen, I understand they call you Fabulous Shin, and I'm willing to guess why, but how did you come across such a honorific?
So it was actually granted on to me by the Council of Penford. They regarded me as a title that I did not agree with. They said that I was a merchant lord. And I said, I am no lord. I am a merchant. And I dazzled them with why I was not a lord by taking them out for a night on the town and showing them things that lords shouldn't see or shouldn't know. It was a
Most of
fabulous.
Pemford like their titles, I'm afraid.
They do,
I'm sure they meant nothing by it.
and that's why they gave me the one that I have. And well, it was much more fitting than lord, so I kept it.
I enjoy it. So what is it you do, oh Fabulous Shin?
Selling merchantry. I make sure that everyone in town has what they need to continue the operations that they wish to engage in. Everyone here has a manner of keeping themselves alive and happy, but I do have some problems currently on my docket that are unfortunately plaguing these efforts, and well, might cause me problems moving forward. One of them was addressed slightly during the discourse of the court. Unfortunately, I did not engage it too much, for I
Oh.
do not wish to be outed as someone who is interested in such matters, but
Conveniently, there
Would
are
this-
ears here that would listen to your troubles.
Would this have something to do with the Tomb of the God King?
it does indeed. So, the guild, they do not have proper funding. The funding that is addressed to them to ensure that their people do what they need to do was once brought forward by the conglomerate, but that ended about a decade ago when the war efforts started to rise. And as I mentioned, Reuben was not welcome in his discourse, due in part for his neglect to be willing to put forward any matters that would be helpful to Panacea. Rather, it was just what we could do for the conglomerate, as if we had some debt that was owed. I don't think that's the case, and my books also don't show any such debt. But our society here in Panacea, very old society of folks who came from far to the north and northwest. We are not as great as we once were. And a lot of the old relics of our past have been buried under sands, or taken away entirely, or destroyed by the people who are here and are not as open-minded as I, or open-minded as some of my contemporaries on the council, or on the court. I hope that the expedition of the tomb would continue forward, but unfortunately I do not have the funds to pay for it myself, and the court has decided that they will no longer fund it.
Why were they excavating, I guess, this tomb?
Well,
Just
it is a site of great importance historically, but it also presents a site of great defensible positioning for the entirety of Panacea. The tomb is a bit of a misnomer. It is, in fact, a place where the dead have been buried. That is true. But it is also a location where very strong walls and defenses were built to protect those dead, and to protect the priests that once served there, at the pleasure of the Court of Healing. Fortunately, in recent years, ever since the conglomerate's shift in capabilities here, due to the conflict. We have been less able to hold power over the priests of myth and the priests of the bird.
Mm.
So we have.
And
Oh, go ahead.
where is this tomb?
It is on the lake, on the northern shore. Not too far from here. But it would take hundreds of men for any real efforts to clear the sands and the sandstone that has developed in that space. You could, if you wished, travel there, but as I said, it is not completely cleared of its structuring. And also, it has been a few 6 days since we've heard any responses from the guild regarding the matter. They seem to have, in their desires, no longer wish to address the matters with anyone on the council or on the court.
Thought you meant like they were in there and you haven't heard from them. I was like, so we're not sending anyone to find out if they're still alive, or?
I don't believe that's the case. From my understanding, there have been no casualties or anything ill towards happening to individuals who have been working at that site. I do know that there has been a very deliberate effort to withhold information regarding the discovery that came about it was quite some time ago. I want to say the better part of 2 years ago. There was a door that was found that is said to have led into a portion of the structure of the tomb that could not have been filled with sand due to the nature of the ceiling. If that were the case, and if they were able to enter into it, who knows what they may have found. But our current understanding of the matter is the guild is not interested in continuing their efforts due to the fact that they are not receiving funding any longer. And they have withdrawn from the tomb at least 2 6 days ago. That is not the only matter that I have problems with at current.
Ezekiel's very excited about the tomb, like out of character. Like, if anybody's even paid any kind of attention, his tail's wagged at least a little bit every time the guy talks about the tomb.
So,
Like, he's doing his best to hide it, but he very much wants to go in there and explore.
Of course.
so what is it, Shen, that you seek from the conglomerate? Is it this funding that you're after, or?
Yes, if we are able to reestablish a teleportation circle here, then we would be able to reconnect with Penford. My trading arrangements can continue as they once were, and I would be able to very quickly find the funding, especially since I know that there are some interested parties, not excluding your, from what I understood, from what I had heard from Deception. If it is true, Dekellis is the one who is. You report to Dekellis. Is that so?
We operate under Dekellis, that is correct.
Correct.
It was the waters of the fount that I was able to elicit for him that was helpful in the construction of a very important artifact he was creating. Are you the ones that carry the lodestar?
Yes, but I'd ask you to keep that
I don't know
under
much.
lock and key.
I don't know much of the magic, and of course I will not say anything that you wish to keep withheld. But I do understand that the waters of the fount were integral in the generation of that device. So I'm glad to see it has at least fallen into capable enough hands, from what I can see
Certainly.
thus
That's what we are.
far. Very capable, always, never not capable. We've never
Never
failed, a thing,
failed
not
once.
even one time. We just beat a huge chicken.
So, We did.
We could definitely get in touch with him through the Lodestar to inquire about that.
Communications have been strangely distorted on my part. I once had a means of connecting with him, but that has been thwarted. It seems that the ancient magics of the Denisovans have caused a lot of arcane disruptions between Panacea and other locations. The
And yet somehow you think you can stay safe from this war.
well, they cannot enter into this space. They are not capable. And even if they were, our honor guard and the priest guard are very capable warriors, and we know the environs and can use them against the opponent. We have had no such problems with the Denisovans thus far. We know that their skyships pass by and near to here, but we are not concerned. Do you think that we should be?
I mean, we came from one of the neighboring areas that has been completely taken over already.
You speak of Carden and the Mount Balthanir.
We speak of Bloodrock
Bloodrock.
and the witch that has
Fallen.
taken over the land.
The giants of Bloodrock have fallen.
To our understanding, yes.
This must not have happened too long ago.
Maybe a week, maybe a 6 day.
Well, that is concerning news to me, sir. Even more,
And while I understand you have fine defenses, the Denisotvans, if they are anything like Ionians, have no trouble with sieging a town of this size.
siege does not affect us. We do not have walls. We have miles of sand that keep us safe from everything else. If they
Sure,
teleport
But
here,
you said yourself you have no means of travel beyond your airships.
no, it's not that. I do have a means of travel besides our airships, and we do have means of travel outside of this space and beyond, but they are secret, similar in kind to the nature of your lodestar. There are tunnels that descend deep, deep into the earth. There are a couple of access points into the Foul Deep from the town. The lake is more a place where these access points are more readily available.
I don't wish to uncover your secrets. I merely wish to offer a warning. I certainly don't want to argue against your confidence in your defenses.
Of course.
Definitely just want to give you the heads
Merely
up.
a concern.
The airships that they deploy are quite intimidating.
The guy that came out with, or the guy that was walking around with his jar, he hasn't been around for a while, but he comes out of the building, steps forward, and bows kind of lowly to the group. Shen kind of seems to give the floor to him, and he says, "Apologies, honored guests. It is time for food. I just wish to know if there are any allergies or any foods that you would not desire that would be put forward to you, so we do not insult your palate with these offerings."
I like organic food.
Like, if there's any preferences, also, we do have a few
Silas?
options.
I would go as culinary highbrow as I can and try to be as intricate as possible just to impress them. Because
You'd say, I would like to try all three options.
Yep, I would go highbrow and be like, and I would like them cooked like this, in blah blah blah, and just go.
Oh, well, he would kind of say he'd put it to you that, like, yes, we can do that. This is not a problem.
If I even smell hummus, I'm tearing this house down.
For most of the techniques that you're kind of mentioning, he says, I believe that is already the method. And you're like, oh.
So they do it right here in Ikashad.
So he takes everybody's orders effectively, and we'll go back. And about 5 minutes later, in quiet, the space has been made ready for the food. You're kind of given small little table setups next to your cushions, and proper utensils. Everything's kind of set before you, and then they bring out the food in this very formal fashion. Most of the plates, instead of having multiple plates, specifically for Silas, are instead kind of tiered, and they have like small little like pillars on the sides of the plates that kind of hold up the plate above, and so on, so that you can just kind of eat the first one, remove the plate, and place it off to the side, and then consume the next portion or course of your meal. Kind of creating a necessity for less table space for a number of courses. But as he's at preparation point, he speaks to one of the other attendants and says something in Ikashati, and they go into the house and come back out with a scroll as food is going to be put out and finalized and everybody's getting ready to dig in. And he would say, I don't know if this is information that you have, but it is something that my family has cultivated over the generations to ensure that we had a most capable method of tracking our trade. Do you have a map of the Foul Deep?
Uther, do we have a map of the Foul Deep?
We do not.
He is our navigator, you see.
Oh, very good. Well, he hands it over to Uther and says,
Second to none.
this may aid you then. And if you take a gander at it,
British.
I will very quickly move us over to a map for a second. It might shift the music, though.
Are they mountainous underdeep?
So, as you can see, the map in question here is an overlay on the map that you're familiar with. If it's in a darkened area, what that means is it is above
That's the
ground.
surface?
Yep. If it is not a darkened area, that is the map as it's shown underground. And everything is revealed to you as follows. You would know that you are located here. Oh wait, that's the light layer.
It was pink.
Here.
Okay.
And you can see that there is an access point according to his map that leads into this underground field, effectively.
And so it looks like, are those like the black squiggly like line? Is that like a like through there, or they're not connected?
Which one?
Narrow passage to the south?
Here? Or here? Oh, that is a pass, yep.
Okay. And it looks like underneath the bridges as well.
Correct. And he would say that the squiggly line that you mentioned, and the map would denote it. I will see if I can't get. It's not popping. He would tell you that pass, known as Braggart's Pass, is currently blocked off by Denisovans. The underground structure that it connects to, which is this kind of grayish position, is an old dwarvish city that connects to the blighted flows, which are these spaces this kind of pinkish color, mauve color, and they have taken over the entirety of that city. The city's name is on my list. Let me make sure I find it and tell you the right one.
I'm sure we'll go there someday.
Yeah, so that is Haldar, is the name of that city. And Haldar is connected to the Blighted Flows, which are the kind of mauve-colored watery areas. Someone pinged the waterfall.
Yeah, it looks like an angry face.
It looks like someone with a mustache vomiting.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm gonna name it the angry guy who did a vomiting. This guy right here.
Shorten it a little bit.
Fair enough. But yeah, he says there's plenty of ways for them to escape, as the city has been taken over by Denisovans, but they are held back from entering into the northern reaches, into the Great Expanse, which is that area north of there, with the angry man in it. And he's saying that they are being held back by the sort of Neblin at Bokar, which is this fort. And I understand it to be the case that Reuben is fighting in the sky, causing the Denisotvan forces, their sky ships, to be less than deployable, and a little less concerning than I understand you to make them out to be. But as I said, we have defenses against sky ships.
Again, I wasn't making any kind of
I was
threat.
just like,
I
they
just
were
wanted
close
to
by
raise
here.
the concern
That's
to
the only
you
thing.
that it is capable. They are capable of such a thing.
What's most concerning for me is that they have taken Blood Rock. Blood Rock has access to the depths below in Green Rock, and that, for me, is concerning.
We will have to address that situation soon enough.
Oh, I would not ask you to go and engage them, but if they enter through the Green Rock into
Thank you.
the Great Expanse...
I'm like, we would not survive that engagement.
Of course.
We might.
If they do enter into the Great Expanse through Green Rock, they would be able to make it to the Great Pillar, they would be able to make it to the back end of Bokar, and they would be able to make it to our tunnels, which would be very limiting for us in our means of escape. Just beyond Green Rock, to the east...
How likely would they know of the access from Blood Rock to Green Rock?
I do not doubt that they could find it. I do not know if your friend here, gesturing to Uther, is familiar with the Bloodrock clan,
A bit.
but I know it was their older rituals to trade fruitfully with the denizens of Green Rock.
Who would the denizens of Green Rock be?
Who are the denizens of Green Rock? Again, out of character, I don't have an answer, so you can say whatever you want, and that's canon.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to. I don't. It's yours. It's yours. Go ahead. I don't want to spoil it.
No, it's Jeremy. I said Jeremy can do that, not you.
Oh, no, yeah,
Stop
a bunch
stealing
of
people's
whole,
fucking spotlight, Zach.
I'm
bunch-
trying not to.
whole bunch of super tough Dwergar.
Dwergar it is.
No, a Dwergar Drow mix.
Love it.
Or whatever they are.
Yeah,
Now.
in campaign setting, Drow are not like evil psychopaths as we've discussed. They are
Is Drow the name of it, though?
the Drow
Or is it
elves.
different?
Dark elf?
Yeah. Dwergar is the dark or the deep dwarves. Drow are the dark elves. The deep.
Okay, yeah, I thought the Drow name had changed at some point. Okay.
No.
No, yeah, those two together.
Yeah, in setting, Drow are just they're dreamers. So yeah, that makes sense. The Green Rock is basically like a dreaming scape where the Dwergar and the Drow wardens are basically protecting the enclaves of the sleeping Drow. So if they fall, as I'm sure you're aware, that would be devastating, especially for the Great Expanse. But more so devastating for Penford. If they expand out from the Expanse, and they are able to usurp other locations to the east, he gestures to the map, you'll note that there are points of access to some of the great underground civilizations that are present in the Midlands beneath Ionis.
And your issue with the teleportation circle? The decision was made to dismantle it by whom?
The priests of myths. And just so I make sure, I am saying that it is a weird word to say. It's easier to be written down. When he says myths, I mean like a myth, plural. So yeah, the fount of myths is the thing that has all the bird wings.
And there are also priests of life?
They are priests of life. Everybody here is life priests. Yeah, there are no...
Okay, it's not a separate faction, it's just...
Yeah, so no, it is separate factions. There's the bird...
The
and there's
Priest of Myths is the separate faction from
Yeah.
everyone else.
So the myths is the fountain people, the people at the fountain. And then the bird, or Emil, or Elim Hazil, that is the temple on the eastern side. So it's basically east versus west on the southern side of the town.
Uh-oh.
We got ourselves a regular, oh god,
Xanadu?
Fingers,
Not Xanadu.
20...
West Side Story.
West Side
West
Story.
Side Story. What is Xanadu?
I thought you were saying mists this whole time.
Sorry.
Because it's a fountain.
Yeah, I was thinking, hey, I mean...
That's reasonable. Okay.
So it was Priests of Myths, and then the other one was Azil? Or
I'll post it in here.
Azil.
Alim
Hazel.
Hazil.
They know who it
Oh
is.
boy.
It's the Phoenix guys.
Met him
The
once.
Phoenix.
It's a her, actually.
On his birthday.
She wasn't an
Okay.
Whatever, didn't like it.
Well, Brent loved it, so
I loved it.
He was the only one.
I got a ring. Rickman has a ring that teleports him directly back.
and he also loved it because it was
Yeah.
quintessential in restoring
Got that feather.
You know
the
what?
dragon
Fine,
that
it's
he
me and
wanted
Zach.
to murder
Zach
later.
and I hated the stupid
I
bird.
did not care for that bird.
Well,
Fucked up my sword, made it all weird.
the scarecrow.
We wasted our opportunity to wish
Who would've
that
thought?
giant back to
I was
life. That was the most frustrating part.
Who would have thought that a scarecrow wouldn't like a bird? But yeah, he gives you this map, again, which has a lot more locations underground. And he also tells you that his specific access to the Underlands, the Foul Deep, he is willing to grant you access to it as he has done so for generations. His family has done so for generations for the conglomerate. So if you wish to access the Foul Deep, you can. And then, yeah.
Is the tomb in the the tunnel areas, or is that
No,
how you get to the tomb?
It is above ground. So I'm going to go ahead and switch us back to
The tomb's not as deep as this.
Yeah, no. I'm going to switch us back to the Overland map.
I don't know how well we would be able to pilot our skyship in the Foul Deep.
So, you're basically here-ish, right?
Yeah.
And if you if you descend into the ground, that's the Foul Deep. This little area here, kind of to the north, the first square is the temple, and then the other square is something else that hasn't been addressed yet. But this little square here that you're kind of looking at there, that one is where you're at.
Okay, and that's a few hours travel
Yeah.
time away?
Yeah,
Okay.
at best 2 or 3. Or at most, sorry, 2 or 3.
The tomb sounds like possible, so I'm definitely.
Well, we still have
that.
to meet with Deception. We have
Stuff.
reservations.
And he would state, I do want to make sure you understand that the game that we're playing, Deception and I, is of utmost importance to us, but probably holds no bearing or concern for you. If you honor me with your decision to be my guest and stay with me, it will show the other members of the court that the conglomerate is backing me and what I decide to do, which could give me some sway in the court in trying to position myself into making them decide to re-engage the efforts to exhume the temple, or the tome. However, I will let you know that Deception is not keen, well, as keen as I am regarding the tome.
Is it a tome or is it a tomb?
Tomb?
Okay. Is there a tome in the
It's
tomb?
not a book. It is definitely the word that you said, not the word that I said.
Tomb.
Tomb. Of annihilation. Tomb rhymes with womb. Got it.
And they both ended B.
But Woomba. Toomba.
Just dumb.
Doopity doo.
Dumba. Also ends in B.
All right.
Right? Does it? Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. So, broad strokes, he wants funding for the tomb excavation, because that's not something we're going to be able to just, handle for him. This isn't a go do this quest.
You are, by my statement, more than welcome to visit.
We might check it out, but that's not the goal he has in mind. We're a conduit for him to secure funding.
There is much more sand to clear. If there is something there that you can utilize, or if there's maybe an access point that they were incapable of doing, that you are capable of opening and seeing more. If the door has not been breached, that they have found, if there's anything that you can do at the tomb, you are welcome to try it. But please, I would ask that if you were to find any relics or items of importance at the tomb, you were to bring them before the court for examination and declaration as to what we would do with those items.
Certainly. Your cultural history is yours.
Appreciate that.
So he wants that in the teleportation circle.
The
And that is
teleportation
because
circle
of the Court of Myths.
would
The
be-
Priest of Myths.
would be the greatest boon that you could offer. But it's really entirely up to whether or not you can commune with Dekelis based on everything we understand regarding communications in and out of Panacea. And also whether or not he's able to traverse here himself without a teleportation circle being present. I know he is a grand mage.
I wouldn't put it past him,
It's
but
very,
no
very
promises.
or if he even has time to do so. I know it's not a small effort.
He certainly appears busy, usually.
Most people who are capable normally of being able to put up a teleportation circle require a year to do it. But I know that
like a permanent one? Yeah.
Yeah. But I know there are magics within the conglomerate that can put it quicker, because the first one that was placed here in a day.
Why, that's 365 times as fast. Who could do such a thing? Yeah. So...
The food is brought out at some point during that. I forgot to kind of like address the food, because obviously there's...
Yeah, you address the food, because it's...
But there's a
tiered.
gourmand amongst us. Yeah, I did address it a little bit. I want to make sure that I address it for Silas. There is a lot here that you are able of replicating, right? There are other things that are present here where you're kind of like, there are spices that you're tasting for the very first time. I don't think saffron would be something you're super intimately familiar with, but it would definitely be something on offer on the plates present here.
expensive.
It's expensive, but it's also something that would not be kind of widely traded in Penford, I don't think. And also, yeah, his lizard folk tribe probably wasn't terribly familiar with saffron either. But yeah, the food here is something that you feel you could replicate, but there are definitely things that are kind of popping out as new. I am going to afford you a cook's utensils wisdom check. So you're going to make a cook's utensils and use wisdom as the check there.
So I just do wisdom saving throw?
No. Go to cook's utensils tools at the bottom left there, and then you'll click it and it'll queue up what ability you use, and you'll choose wisdom.
$23.
Okay. So the item that is known as Magier's Delight, it's a food that's put forward to you. It is kind of towards the bottom of the plates and seems to have been served as kind of like a dessert-like treat at the end. You're pretty sure that with like a proper amount of time practicing and trying to replicate, you might be able to replicate the recipe to a point where you're able to do it yourself. That would require one downtime day of research for you to kind of muster that. Or you could try and ask the people who made it, but you're pretty sure that they're probably not going to part with secrets, because chefs who work for houses like this aren't typically keen on training their replacements.
Unless we won them a big favor.
What do you say, Jody?
I want to figure out what it is. I'm going to post it everywhere.
Ha, this loser. But yeah, if you get a downtime day, you can practice. As long as you have access to like a town like this and are able to buy like foods and stuff, you can practice. It'll cost you probably 15 gold pieces just to do practice stuff, and then if you do a downtime's day worth of research, you would be able to learn the recipe. Okay.
Do it.
Once you get a downtime day. If you get a
Do
downtime
it
day.
at Mug Pounder's place, and I'm gonna make him famous.
You can make it also. I don't want to serve food. I want to serve drinks.
Listen, fucker,
we're
we
doing
serve
this
food
now.
now.
We
I
serve,
have a partner.
He just walks into the back. He just starts cooking.
I didn't know I had a stove.
Hilarious. Okay.
You didn't.
Does anybody have anything else they would like to discuss with Fabulous Shen?
Denat, you're a jeweler. You got cool rings. You want to learn about jewelry?
Yeah, I guess ask, how, like, if he has a jeweler, or
I have many.
just ask about his jewelry.
I have many, but
You would.
not so many here within this town of Panacea. I do have one friend that has been most beneficial. Are you looking for someone to aid you in the art of jewelry, or are you? What exactly are you looking for?
I guess. I don't really know.
Well, I suppose you could speak with Veltargo. I will give you his address and information. If you would like for me to make a call upon him to formally introduce you, it wouldn't be until tomorrow that I would be able to do that. Thinking?
He said that's fine.
That's
Oh,
fine.
I think
Sorry.
I think his mic cut as he
Yeah.
said it.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so he would give you the address for the individual, and it is actually. Let's go ahead and do some numbering since we have a lot going on here. And
Yeah, I'm already lost.
yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Since we have about
17 minutes.
yeah, let's go ahead and do some numbering stuff. Let's do the casework. So 46. I just put the 46 up.
Yes.
That is
That's the temple.
Temple of Alim Hazil. I keep on trying to make it a meal. 43, which I'm posting here now, is the the likable princess cafe. 42 is Mug Pounders, and 29 is his house. 30 is Shen's shop, which you've been outside of, and 28 is his actual formal house. They're connected though. 41 was the Court of Healing. 40 is the Court Bailiff's house.
41 was the Court of Healing.
41 was the Court of Healing, yep.
And 40 was Deception's home.
Nope. Court Bailiff's house.
Court Bailiff's house. Thank you.
Deception lives north of the bridge.
37 was the Fount of Myths. Just a hard word to say.
Not to be
make it-
confused with Fount of Mists.
which is a different place.
That's next door. They get splashed.
Yeah, it's like a ride at like a amusement park. Okay, so that we've got. You were told that the strange building up on the hill is the Guild. 25 would be the number, and that's the Guild of Reclaimers, Archivists, Historians, and Dredgers, also referred to in some cases as Garad. I'll post that in the chat. If you want to update your... Oh, you're doing individual posts for each. Well, that is madness, my friend. You should just
I
post
missed
it.
half of it. Historians. No, it's funny this way.
It's madness. Absolutely mad. So 26...
I'm sure I missed one or two too. That's the best part.
26 is the Great Gate of Healing, which leads to the north. The bridges are the kind of barrier line for north and south.
There's only one gate.
That is the Gate of Healing. Yeah, just the one.
It's like the other bridge. You can just walk across whenever you want.
No, because you'll learn that is not possible once we go over there. Nobody went over there yet, so we don't know.
We
how...
have the thing to do that, though.
Yeah, we don't know how the hill works. When we get there, we'll get there. 27 was never mentioned. But I'll go ahead and throw it out there since it's easy enough to identify on the outside. It is a guardhouse for the guild. The houses to the left and right of the gate are not mentioned yet. The bridges. Oh,
Got
right.
the clergy house.
Clergy
What's
house.
clergy house?
Yeah, that's right. 44. It's both of them. Technically, there's 3 houses there, but yeah. What else? Oh, you would have been told about the jeweler's location, which I said was going to be 16.
And the tomb.
Tomb's not on map. Tomb's off.
You gave the name for the jeweler. It doesn't matter. 16
I
is
did.
just jewelers.
Hold on. Beltargo.
Beltard?
Beltargo.
Beltargo.
I'll post it here. Hold on.
Beltargo jeweler.
Beltar.
I was close.
Again, there are some words that just don't seem to translate well when pronounced aloud, like myths.
Now, myths I understood the first time you said it. I just enjoy the
Yeah, I tried to enunciate it.
miscommunication. It's funny.
I did love that Brett was like the whole
B
time.
and V at the beginning of a word, they're hard to distinguish.
And then you would have the location for Deception's house, which is this fancy motherfucker right here, number 6.
And would it be too late to ask him a location of like an armory or like a smith's?
No, it wouldn't be too late. He would tell you that all matters of metalcraft are had and done in the puzzle room, which is number 11.
I think I did okay.
And that's, again, all metalworking that is done is handled by that guild, the puzzle room. So you would know that Beltargo, due to his proximity to the puzzle room, is obviously a part of that guild. As are the other houses around it.
What was 29? I missed 29.
It's the owner of the bar next door,
Not
42.
founder.
Oh,
Whose first name is Anton. And obviously Silas would have got that over the course of drinking with him and hanging out.
He
And
never
also
asked.
starting a business.
Yeah, we're gonna be wrecked.
Anton.
Anton Mug Pounder.
Mug Pounders. Oh,
Okay.
done. Notated.
So I'm going to go ahead and say last call for any kind of questions with Shen.
I think we covered a lot of ground with shit.
He gave you a lot. He gave you a map of the fucking Foul Deep. He gave you like a lot of information regarding the.
That was
politics.
very generous of him. I assume those are
Well, he's a very cool guy who
reasonably valuable.
I can't stress enough. I've wanted to draw for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, but have not been able to do so because I am currently drawing a lot of other things. But I've really, he's basically in a JoJo pose. And, like, the way I have him pictured is wonderful, but I haven't been able to put that to paper yet. But once he is, it will be wonderful. Hopefully he's an important NPC. But we'll see.
I rage.
I find him right here. I just pick up the hookah.
Yep, we're gone.
No, he's back in that kitchen and he can't get the recipe right. He's just raging back there, throwing pots and pans.
The fuck is that spice?
But yeah. Any other questions regarding that you would ask him about? If not, for the last 9 minutes or so here, there are obviously some things that are going to happen between the end of lunch, which happens around like 1-ish, 2-ish. It was kind of a longer lunch, to be sure. And dinner time, which again, you would have been told by Shen, because he would know lunch is typically served at dusk. So just as the sun begins to set, so somewhere around 7.
You mean dinner?
Dinner, what did I say?
You said lunch.
Oh, well, then
That's a
I think
late
that's-
ass lunch.
you're like, damn.
They
We
take
already
a
ate.
siesta?
We ate early. No,
Is this
'cause
one of those times?
timeline-wise, what I'm asking for is between 2 and
How
7.
we want to occupy our time for the next
There's
4.5
5 hours. If there's anything you want to do, you can start engaging in that. But again, he can't give you a formal introduction to Veltargo until tomorrow. If you want to,
Did he say anything about the Kelverond, the vandal guy? Did he say he had a problem with that too?
He didn't. He would say, "I don't really
Just
know
north
much
of the bridge.
I don't really know much about the matter. I do know that deception will probably fill your ear with the matter, as it's the one he is most interested in at current. It seems that a number of the shops that he engages with and keeps a modicum of connections with were the ones affected. I will tell you straightforward, though, if it has been mentioned to my ear a couple of times in the past couple of days, and I just want to make sure that it is clear. I had nothing to do with it. I did not hire a mercenary. I am not involved. Whatever he says is his namesake.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure, too, our relationship is not conflicted. We are simply engaging in the dance of the formation of laws and processes for the town of Panacea. It may seem that we are at ends, but I genuinely have no problems with him.
Seems
As a
like a
person.
decent guy.
Yes, he's nice enough. I suppose that's why so many of the shops enjoy him as their representative in the court.
Tell me, is Deception a merchant like yourself?
No, not so much.
Forgive me, I don't mean to gossip. What is his role in the governing body of
He is
Panacea?
he is a courtier first, whereas I was not. I purchased my seat on the court. Some others amongst our number have done likewise, or their ancestors did likewise, and they've benefited from those positions. It is. I will explain. I know that in some places the conglomerate is present in, not so much Penford, but other places, that democracies are the common occurrence. Ours is a representative democracy. However, the representatives are not voted into place by any individuals. They are kept in power at the pleasure of those who live here. So, if other court members sway people who give them seating into not allowing them to maintain their seat, then they would be usurped and typically replaced. Sometimes by people who engaged in benefiting those courtiers for the times that they lived. But not many are interested in the, as you saw, grandiose nature of the court. As you can tell, I am built for it. I was born to do it. But
You do have a flair about you.
thank you. I'm glad you noticed. But
I have eyes, sir.
I have eyes. They gave me eyes. Where are they? Show me your eyes. I don't see them. You're
I'll just,
smiling.
I'll just
Everywhere.
make,
They're in
I'll
the
just
general
make some
area.
orb shapes on the front of my head,
He would say that.
and also plop a head onto a plate and just start absorbing whatever food was there.
He would say that if they wish to take his place, that they could. They are the ones who truly hold power, the people who have sway in the town. So it's really the important individuals who choose who their representatives are. And again, that has interplay with why I am interested in the guild getting its funding. The guild supports me, so I need to make sure that their interests are maintained in court. If they're not, then they may not cede with me. They may instead cede with others. hopefully your dinner with deception goes horribly, and you elect to stay with me. Although I do hope that you are able to at least enjoy his company, if the meal isn't as sufficient. Gesturing to the empty plates at the small tables as they're being taken away. And
How does this device work to get us across the bridge?
you just present it. The healers at the sides of the gate will notice you. If you are walking across the bridge, either of the bridges, without presenting the icon, they will make it very impossible for you to pass the bridge. However, anybody in your company will be allowed to pass with one icon and one icon alone, as long as you pass an entourage.
Is that why the thief's such a hot topic?
He made it into the north side of the city. Yes, it is very much a hot topic because he was granted passage. However, how that was done, we do not know. It definitely wasn't from the north side of town. If anyone gets within 100 or 200 or so feet of the palace, they are immediately beset upon.
By whom?
There are powerful magics that reside in the palace that were bestowed upon the rulers of this place by the conglomerate.
Well, that's good.
What's
I guess
to
we'll
the
keep an eye.
east?
Due east?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Sand.
fields in a prayer circle. Couldn't somebody just walk in from over there?
Oh, you mean like from here?
The right side of the map?
Yeah.
Just walk around.
So the palace is up
Is
at the
is there
top
just
there.
like an invisible barrier?
Yeah. So
of
like if anybody kind
fuck
of
you?
walks upon the palace, like even there would be considered that kind of like gesturing. So yeah, if they're kind of present walking there, like if you just walked around the way, sure, I mean I guess you could probably do so, but you'd
Just
still be within sight of the
take-
healers.
Take a little stroll around the vegetation there.
You'd still be within sight of the healers.
Oh, I'm sure we'll discuss it further with deception.
Found the one flaw in my defenses.
Going around the boat.
Actually, the fields are swords. They're swords now. No, but yeah, if you were to walk around the water there, the healers at this location here. I'm gonna ping it one more time and snap ping it. Oh, I'm in the wrong layer. I'm gonna snap ping it. This building here and this building here are considered the homes, or rather the houses of the healers, and so they kind of maintain vigil and defend the north side of the town.
And the vegetation looks pretty nice over there.
Yeah, it's not gonna block view, you know.
There's some sand camo. Just crawl right in there.
I'm sure if you wanted to sneak into the north side of the town,
Why
you
is
could.
Uther so interested in infiltrating?
Well, we'll find out next time on Dragon Ball. I mean, on
I swear I've never been here before.
we're gonna
No, I believe you.
pick up from. So think about what you want to do in the course of the next week. What you want to do in that 5-hour span. We'll handle that at the very beginning. If you want to type it out, we can kind of just steamroll through it. But then we'll kind of move into the dinner with deception. Thanks for watching, those that did, and we will pick up next time. See you next week. Okay, I think I'm stopped, right? No.